Hello everybody, it's Lazel here with another Magic the Gathering Arena video. Today we are playing Mardu Angels, so we have cards from the color combinations of red, white and black in this deck, and I think that the card that this deck is most focused around is still Giada, Font of Hope. It's a card that came out with Streets of New Capenna. There was a reasonable hype around this card because it is a wonderful angel commander. The only thing is, yeah, as a commander itself, it lacks a bit when it comes to color diversification, but for standard now, we will be playing this card and we will try to play it in a free color combination. The problem, especially always for me, is the mana base that I'm playing with, because especially when it comes to multiple colors, I don't have that many dual lands and all of the stuff around that, so I sometimes struggle with the mana base. But this is already the point where I want to make a good shout out to the card Secluded Courtyard, which as it enters you choose a creature type and it taps for any mana of this creature type, and also for activated abilities of a creature or creature card type of the chosen type. So, especially in tribal decks, Secluded Courtyard is a great card and a great addition for the deck, as we are running a lot of different angels in this deck. So we do have, first of all, Giada, Font of Hope. And for those of you who don't know, each other angel you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter for each angel you already control. And you can tap her for a white mana, and you can only spend this mana to cast angel spells. Very important when it comes to auto-tapping and stuff like that. We'll have an eye on that. Flying Vigilance 2/2 for 2 mana, perfect creature. On curve 3 we have the Inspiring Overseer. This is, in this deck, one of our only card draw engines. As it enters, you gain 1 life and you draw a card. Pretty cool with Giada, Font of Hope, because you can really nicely curve into this card. This is also why we are playing 4 copies. On the 4 mana curve, this is the reason why we play a lot, or we tend to focus to Mardu colors, the Archangel of Wrath. When Archangel of Wrath enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, it deals 2 damage to any target. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked twice, it deals 2 damage to any target. So overall, we can ping a total of 4 damage. And super cool card. Sadly, I only have 2 copies of this card, but we'll try to make it work. Followed by the Sarah Paragon. Once during each of your turns, you may play a land from your graveyard or cast a permanent spell with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard. If you do, it gains when this permanent is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. Exile it and you gain 2 life. Not only a completely decent creature with 3/4 flying for 4 mana, but also due to Angel, synergizes very well with Giada, and we can recast Inspiring Overseer from our graveyard to gain that 1 life. We can draw the card from the Sarah Paragon, super dope, as Inspiring Overseer is, from my experience, often a card that goes under the bus for a jump block situation. Then we have Elspeth Resplendent. I have 1 copy of this card and I wanted to include it because there are a lot of things on this card that really help out in a deck, especially the -3, where you look at the top 7 cards of your library and you can put a permanent with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield with a shield counter on it, and this is super dope, as you can find certain key cards like Giada or the Inspiring Overseer or also the Fable of Mirror Breaker, but I will get to this card later, and super dope. The plus ability is also very helpful because, especially in flying situations or when we have a lot of flyers, I am a real big fan of vigilance counters and lifelink and all of that. There are already a lot of keywords on these angels here, so you kinda profit even more from it because you get less choices and you pretty quickly assemble a creature that has First Strike, Lifelink, Vigilance, Flying, and so on and so on. I do play 1 copy of Lisa simply because I want to be way more defensive, or want to have way better recovery when the opponent wipes the board, for example with cards like Depopulate, or also with Burn Down the House, a card that I am also playing. As when Lisa sees another non-token creature die, I return that card to my hand at the beginning of the next end step. And if a creature an opponent controls would die, we exile it instead. Very helpful with the current meta. I explain it already a lot when we look into cards like the Tenacious Underdog, many unearthed creatures, the Soldier, Anthem Boy, I really cannot remember his name, but you know what I'm saying. And last but not least, on the 6th curve, we have 1 copy of Steel Seraph, a super dope angel from Brothers War, which also throws around with keywords on it when you enter the combat phase. And last but not least, I have 2 copies of the Sanctuary Warden. As it enters with 2 shield counters on it. And when it enters or when it attacks, we can remove a counter from a creature or planeswalker we control. And if we do, we draw a card and create a citizen. So also another card draw engine here in the deck, but it comes really late. What I just see is that the Sanctuary Warden is a soldier, so this might be a cool addition for my soldier deck, but we will get to that later or maybe in another video. Then we come to all of the interaction and a lot of non-creature spells that I'm playing in this deck. I am experimenting a lot with Lawrence Escape because there are cards like Go for the Throat, Infernal Grasp, which are still very relevant in the meta, but also cards like Fading Hope is an extreme slowdown for you when your Giada gets bounced. So Lawrence Escape might be cool here as the creature gains hexproof and indestructible. And in addition to that, a deck that doesn't draw that many cards, Scry 1 is, in my opinion, helpful. So I want to test out Lawrence Escape in this deck, followed by 3 copies of Destroy Evil, as this card is helpful in the current meta because destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. We are talking about the Tolarian Terror, the Hordigen, Sheoldred, and many other creatures which have a high toughness scaling, and also destroy target enchantment, which goes especially after the different enchantment decks. We go after Wedding Announcement, a lot of the cards that are currently in the meta, which have definitely some impact and have their place for a reason. Valorous Stance is a card that I personally don't see in many Mardu Angel decks, but I think this card deserves an honorable mention because just as with the Lawrence Escape, I think that giving your creatures indestructible, we don't run that many creatures, so we want to make it worth to keep our creatures on the battlefield, which is why the target gains indestructible until the end of turn might be helpful, and destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater. Just as the Destroy Evil, we are very flexible with these 2 cards. But there are also creatures that are a threat to our deck, which are below the 4 toughness curve, which is why I want to test out several copies or 3 copies of Go for the Throat. Then we come to the 3 mana curve slot, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. I personally don't think that I need to explain much of this card. You see it everywhere, you can play it in every deck. It is very powerful, and with the additional mana sink that we get from the Goblin token by creating a treasure on attack, it helps. It is also one of the card draw engines in our deck with second chapter, so we might want to pitch a few lands that we have extra and then hope to draw into one of our angels here. I also play the Wandering Emperor for the same reason as I run Elspeth. You can accumulate some counters on your creatures pretty quickly. We have an exile removal, which the deck really lacks in. And then we, last but not least, come to Burn Down the House. I would like to run Depopulate in this deck because it comes 1 turn earlier, but I don't have any copies of Depopulate, which is why I'm testing a few things out with Burn Down the House. It is a card that I need to play very carefully because it also damages planeswalkers, which I have. It damages creatures, but I think being a bit more flexible and having the chance to also use the second mode of creating those devils, who knows, might help out. But we will see in a few games, which will follow now, and let's jump into them. Okay, we have interaction, we have a Pain Land, we have Fable on 3. I think I want to keep this one. Start off with the Springs. Alright, soldiers. Probably Azorius soldiers. Do I want to take the 2 for now? Yeah, I want to see if our opponent still plays anything else. They don't. Okay, let's try to kill the officer here. Let it go. This is pretty good that we drew another Fable, as our opponent might have a counterspell here. Okay, reinforcements. veteran. Comes the team, we take 4. Oh, we are getting pretty low. I think I need to find my lands. There's a land, alright. We still take damage from the Pain land. Could play Lisa now. If our opponent goes for Brutal Kafar, we take 6. Though then we can ambush our opponent. So we play Lisa. Opponent has the land. Soul Partition, alright. Here we take the 6 again. Guess I gotta set up an ambush here. Next turn go for the throat. The veteran could attack now, but as I've said, I wanna ambush my opponent. Thalia. This is okay. Veteran stays back. Well, let's try. Okay, that resolved. We get to ambush our opponent, perfect. Another recruitment officer. Found a land. We can replay Lisa here. But first I want to attack. Then cast her. So if our opponent doesn't have another soul partition here, we should be in a good spot. Another courtyard. There's Harbin. Okay. Okay. We will attack with Giada. And then we do have to pass the turn here, I guess. Maybe we could have also attacked with Lisa here. Our opponent needs 5 other creatures to get Harbin online. Yeah, with 5 or more soldiers. Valorous Stance, okay. Toughness 4 greater. So we do have quite some interaction in hand. Yeah, recruitment officer definitely helps. Another resolute reinforcements, okay, that will give the team flying. And then they can pump on attack. Okay, there's the soul partition. We will protect first. Elspeth looks good. This fizzles. We will take out Harbin. We will also get rid of the recruitment officer here. Then we take 7, but we gain 5. Yep. And we get Giada back from Lisa's ability. Okay. I can play Elspeth. And also give Lisa, or I can give Lisa a vigilance counter here. Probably the best play, so I can also start attacking.
If a fight's coming,
Okay.
I'll be on the front
Ooh,
lines.
that was a grind. So, quick update during or in between those games. I am struggling a lot because I don't have many or much early creature removal, so I will add a few more abrades simply to be able to either answer the Reckoner Bankbuster or single creatures alone. I do run Go for the Throat, but it simply isn't enough. The possibility of having the card in hand isn't high enough. I will also remove one Valorous Stance, and yeah, I think I'll give it a try like this. And because of that, I will also up my mountain count by 1. Okay, this hand looks pretty good. Let's see what we draw. We are up against mono red, okay. There's the Archangel of Wrath, might help out a lot. Phoenix check. Yeah, from what I'm seeing, I'm pretty sure that our opponent has the play with fire, but I'm fine playing into it. Just want to get rid of their resources, and next turn we can deploy our Overseers. Yeah. Take another 4 at least, going down to 13. Another Kumano, down to 12. The good thing is, as soon as our Archangel goes down, we have a free 4 lifelink. And also Sarah Paragon is a pretty good draw here. Let's see. A Braid, alright. Opponent plays a mountain, channels the Sokanzan. Okay. So we can play a land here. Our opponent will come for 6, 8 next turn. Yeah, we have to play it now. Sadly with no kicker. But we gotta make sure to gain some life. Well, I personally wouldn't have said that this is lost for our opponent, but okay. Probably drew a land. Okay, we are on the draw, having a pretty good hand. Can nicely curve. Let's try. Okay, we can resolve Giada here. Let's see if she will stick around. Nope. Well, then we will Ganjo into Inspiring Overseer. Okay. Okay. Our opponent apparently trying to do the same thing as we do. So we will... yeah, straight up go for the throat. There is a chance that our opponent is also playing the Sarah Paragon, but they cannot get the Archangel back with that. Okay, our opponent passes the turn. Seems to struggle with a lot of these things that I often have, that I simply don't have any mana. Or not the fitting colors. Okay. damage. Let's try to resolve a Paragon here. There's the Wandering Emperor, okay.
I'm home.
Well, that was definitely an exile worth considering, but there will be a removal spell apparently. Okay.
Show them how we greet our enemies.
Pretty good plus. And pretty good Invoke Despair. Okay, we will kick off with an Archangel here. Kicked with everything, so we have 2 triggers. We will ping the Wandering Emperor once and face once. Let's see if there's another Invoke Despair, most likely. Yep. We have to catch up here. So going wide might be a good thing. So we are protected from... Okay, well, that's it with the protection. Here we go for Fable. I don't think that there's a reason to go for the Paragon line here first, if they have another Farewell. So I will just wait and go with the Wandering Emperor here. Wedding announcement, okay. That will sadly resolve. Still, we will make a token. Cycles a Raffine's Tower, okay. Cut down on our token. That is actually, yeah, I mean, could have been better, but we will make a Vigi token here. Opponent will make a token. We will draw. And I think, yeah, the Courtyard can go anyways, because if we play the Paragon, we can simply play it from our graveyard. Okay, our opponent has seen enough. Alright. Alright everybody, so these were a few games of my Mardu Angels deck. I do have to say, there were a lot of losses with this deck, simply because of the reason that I was struggling with my mana base a lot. There have been many turns. Currently I do think it is a very fast format, because with the mono blue deck many things are decided very early on if they counter things correctly and are able to fill up their graveyard. Mono red, in many cases I was sitting there, I was actually having a good interactive hand, but I simply didn't find the mana to resolve my Abrade or my Go for the Throat, so that definitely wasn't that easy. The few games that you might have seen were games where a lot of my opponents maybe surrendered pretty early in my opinion and could have kept on playing. From what I knew from my hand, they still had a very good chance. But overall I do want to say that this deck is a lot of fun. It is, especially because of the later Angel synergies, pretty cool, because playing around Angels is super dope. I personally like the Angel Tribal. And also with Giada, it is a card that curves really nicely into the 4 to 5 slot when it comes to Angels. But as I have said earlier, I also had quite a lot of losses, and they simply weren't exciting to watch because I was just sitting there. I got beaten up because I simply didn't find the correct lands. The Courtyard, still great land, especially if you try to resolve Angels from wide over the different color diversifications. But currently there are mostly only Angels that are in white, so maybe it might be interesting to consider playing a mono white Angels deck and not a Mardu one. I personally didn't have that much success with this deck, but also because of the reason that I still lack in quite a lot of copies. I don't have 4 Fable of the Mirror Breaker, I don't have 4 Archangel of Wrath. And overall, so that was my resume of the games that I've played with this deck. I do want to say that if you're interested in this deck, there are probably many more other deck lists out there that have an optimized mana base and also more copies of certain cards, and I would recommend checking them out. I still hope that you enjoyed these games, and then I would say see you in the next video. Goodbye, guys.